Uh, so today we'll talk about death. Uh, Before we go into death, let us try to understand four kinds of energy. The first is energy of thought, and it is the first of our psychic energies, and it is the slowest of all the psychic energies. And the second is the energy of emotions, which is very much faster than the energy of thought. And many times in an emotional reaction, we repent later on because thought comes in later on and we realize that we got carried away in an emotional reaction. So the energy of emotions is much faster than the energy of thought. Next comes the energy of sex. And the energy of sex is much, much faster than the energy of emotions. And the properties of the energy of sex is that it has the power to something which is in a what you call unseen dimension, something which is avyakt or in the unseen, it allows that to come into the seen. And that is the power of the energy of sex, that it can, what do you call, it can bring form from another dimension into a more material form in the physical dimension. And even more powerful than the energy of sex is the energy of death. And the energy of death has the power to destroy form in a certain dimension and to take something from one dimension into another dimension. So in life, we must understand these four energies, and every student of spirituality learns to work with these four energies. So by observing our thoughts and observing our emotions, slowly we can develop something which is separate from thought and separate from emotion. By working on the energy of sex, transforming the energy of sex, we can transform that energy of sex into the energy of the intellect or the energy of intelligence, which empowers the brain, gives power to the brain. That is, the sex cell can become the brain cell. And it is the energy of death which, when we are able to use and understand, which for a spiritual seeker brings about death of the ego and destruction of the ego. It is through the energy of death. And that is why surrender is a big part of the energy of death. Now, man is conditioned to see time in hours and seconds and minutes, and this is an arbitrary division of time created by man for his social purpose. in real time, there is nothing like hours or minutes or something. Man takes one cycle of the earth around the sun as 1 year, and then over that he makes his arbitrary divisions of time. Natural time, which is not hours or minutes of seconds, is the unfolding of energy, as if there is a key which has been wound and the key is unfolding, right? And that unfolding of energy is real time. And because the energy of sex and energy of death are nearly the same, for every man or woman, the point of death is the point of birth, or the point of birth is the point of death, because both the energies are nearly the same. You are born in the same time and you die in the same time. And because we are so conditioned to see time as hours and minutes and seconds, it is very difficult for us to understand this concept of time in relation to death. Now, death is of three kinds. Involuntary death, where I don't want to die, so involuntary death. Voluntary death, where I am willing to surrender to death through my conscious effort. And there is a higher form of death where I am a witness to death, and that is a conscious way of dying. There is no break in time between, or there is no break in continuity, because I am watching something die and I am watching something move in another dimension. So our first effort to move from involuntary death to voluntary death, and if we can make the right effort in this lifetime, can we move to a more conscious death, that is, at the moment of dying, we are a witness to what is happening. Now, how do we move from a involuntary death to a more voluntary death? And that has a relation to suffering in life. As long as suffering is involuntary, I don't want to suffer, right? Death will always be involuntary. Man is always running away from suffering. If someone were to write the history of our life, it would be written in one line: he ran away from suffering and he ran after pleasure, right? This is the story of our life. We do not have to seek suffering in life. There is more than enough suffering in ordinary life. But can we make that suffering from involuntary into voluntary? Can we, when suffering comes in our life, can we accept it as a fact of life? Can we relax our muscles? Can we bring our inner attitude to run away from suffering, to bring it into a deep acceptance that this is what life has brought? So as we practice this from involuntary to voluntary suffering, over a period of time, we will be able to accept suffering. Then when death comes, at whatever time it comes, death will not be involuntary, it will be a voluntary death. Now the first, and we have said this in the last 3-4 days, important step in making involuntary suffering into voluntary suffering is to be free from complaining. The minute I complain that this has happened in my life, I am still fighting against the suffering, right? So one thing, every student of spirituality has to cancel the word complaining from his dictionary. The minute he complains, we have lost everything, right? So, suffering comes in our life. We are not inviting new suffering, but whatever suffering comes in our life, we accept it and we take it voluntarily. As we practice voluntary suffering, we will feel a new power in our life, as if a sudden surge of power has come in, as if anything can happen in the world but nothing will happen to us, as if we have become so steady inside, right? And that steadiness will come from the voluntary acceptance of suffering. Now, if death is voluntary, just as the energy of sex brings orgasm and joy, similarly the energy of death can bring a tremendous orgasmic experience and tremendous joy. Now, if we can voluntarily accept suffering, then we can practice a little ahead the transformation of suffering. That is, I use suffering to rise to a higher state of consciousness. And that is the transformation of suffering. And if we can do that in this life, then death will not just be voluntary, but it will be a conscious death, and we'll make the passage in a state of consciousness. There will be no, what you call, break in time in our continuity of experience in death. A very beautiful, there are many instances of beautiful death, but one we can take just to, have an understanding of what it's about, and that is of Socrates. Socrates was given poison, hemlock, and he was sitting with his disciples, and he's drinking this poison as if we drink a cup of tea, and he's telling his disciple, now the poison is affecting my legs. My legs are getting paralyzed. I won't be able to, move my legs. But I can tell you something, that nothing is happening to me. And then as the poison progresses in his body, he says, now it is affecting my body, it is affecting my limbs, but I can tell you one thing, even though my body is paralyzed, nothing has happened to me. And then he says the last words, he says, these are my last words, my lips can hardly move, right? They are going to be paralyzed. But I'll tell you one thing, the body is dying, Socrates is watching the body dying, right? So this is conscious death. This is conscious death, right? And it is something which is everybody's birthright, but we have to work for it, right? And the way to work for it is through Yoga Nidra, right? And Yoga Nidra is one of the practices which can lead to a conscious death. Now, just as science has an anatomy of the body, yoga has an anatomy of the body which is of the chakras and nadis and all that. But we can observe the scientific anatomy of the body through a microscope. The yogic anatomy of a body needs a different inner eye to be able to be observed, a yogic eye. It is not something which can be revealed under a microscope. Now, there are many nadis in the body, but the most important nadi is the sushumna. Most important nadi is the sushumna. 1 minute. So we'll just do an anatomy of the Sushumna. The Sushumna is composed of three nadis. Three nadis. And it is like a cable. So the first very thin inner layer of the Sushumna is what we call the Vajra Nadi, right? And that Vajra Nadi runs from the sex organ up the backbone into the Brahmarandra or the central brain cavity, and a part of it just touches the what you call the divine center in the top of the head. Now, within the what you call Vajra Nadi is a thick inner cable which is called as Sushumna, right? And Sushumna, it again goes up and it enters the Brahmarandra from the what you call middle of the mouth. It enters the Brahmarandra, right? And it also touches the divine center from there. Within the Sushumna is a very thin, what you call silvery nadi called the Chitrini nadi. Chitrini because it is spotted like what do you call a viper snake, it is spotted like that, and it is called Chitrini, and it comes up, and at the medulla oblongata it divides into two parts. One goes into the central brain cavity from here and one enters the central brain cavity from here. This is the anatomy of the Sushumna Nadi. Of course, the chakras are also on the Sushumna, but we are not taking them today. Now, normally these other two nadis in man remain in a state of non-use, that is the Sushumna and the what you call Chitrini nadi.
Both have same or different?
Pardon?
બે એક જ કે જુદી?
નહીં, એટલે એક શું કહેવાય સિલિન્ડર છે, એમાં એક પતલું પડ અંદર છે એ ચિત્રીની છે, એક જાડું વચ્ચે લોખંડનો સળિયો છે એ સુષુમ્ના છે, અને સુષુમ્નાની અંદર જે છે એક એકદમ પતલી ચાંદી જેવી એકદમ પતલી દોરી જે છે એ ચિત્રીની છે, એ બે ભાગમાં અહીંયા ડિવાઈડ થાય છે, રાઈટ? એક જ નાડી, એક પાછળ. એટલે બ્રહ્મરંધ્રના 4 દરવાજા છે, એક અહીંથી, એક અહીંથી, એક અહીંથી ને એક ઉપરથી. બ્રહ્મરંધ્રના 4 દરવાજા છે, રાઈટ? હાજી, બ્રહ્મરંધ્ર એટલે ધ સેન્ટ્રલ બ્રેઇન કેવિટી, એટલે આ આખું અહીંયા એક શું કહેવાય કેવિટી, એટલે શું કહીએ ગુજરાતીમાં આપણે એક પોલું શું કહેવાય ભૂંગળી જેવું, અને એનો એક છેડો ઉપર જાય છે ને એક છેડો નીચે આવે છે. આ એના 4 દરવાજા છે, 4 દરવાજા છે. Now, normally in man's life, he only uses the Vajra Nadi, the Vajra Nadi. And so death also comes through the Vajra Nadi, right? And the quality of the Vajra Nadi is that everything in life happens in cycles. That is, man lives in the duality of life, right? I may be very happy just now, but after some time, some news I get, I may be very sad also. And then again, I get some news, something happens and I'm happy and sad. And life moves in ups and downs. And this is the quality of the Vajradhari. When the yogi opens the Sushumna Nadi, then life is more like a flow. Right? Yesterday we talked about it. Life is like a flow, as if everything is now just taking place in a kind of happening with some divine intervention, everything is happening. So there he does not have to make a super effort for life. So in the Sushumna Nadi things are flowing. The Chitrini Nadi has to be awakened through mantra. Right? It is not, normally it cannot be awakened, but it has to be awakened by a very high quality of mantra, and that is something only the Guru can pass on to the disciple. Right? Now, because now death can either be in the Vajra Nadi, either in the Sushumna Nadi, or for very advanced people also in the Chitrini Nadi. Normally for us, that is, death is in the Vajra Nadi, right? So, when as the moment of death appears and is coming close, the energies of the body will start gathering at one place. You will feel as if the hands are going limp, other parts of the body are going limp, and the energies are, and there will be a deep pull within the body because the energies are gathering at one point, and that is at the bottom of the spine, right? And that is where the Vajra Nadi starts. So, and the Vajra Nadi will take the energies of the body, and as if it is being pulled, the string of the bow is being pulled, and something is going to be thrown out of the body as an arrow, right? And that is, the Vajra Nadi is that which is the string of the bow, and this, the soul with the divine fragment or the Atma will go out of the body. So once we feel this inner pulling, we know now that the moment of death is coming close, and we will take different ways of knowing that how the moment of death is coming close. Now, one thing that before the arrow is released out of the body, in the last few moments, we forget our own name, right? Now, this is very important, and all of us have experienced this, so we must practice this in life. That supposing I met him 5 years ago, and I say I met him, but I can't remember his name, and you feel a kind of gap inside, right? And at that time we try to fill in that gap by trying to remember his name, right? And this happens with everyone, right? So at that moment, just pause and try to, experience that gap, bring sensitivity to that gap. You can know his name after 5 minutes, it doesn't make any difference, right? But if we can hold that gap at that time, and sense that gap, that is a very good practice for this moment which is going to come in all of our lives at the moment of death, right? And so whenever we feel I can't remember his name, I know him, but I can't and you feel that gap in between, just be silent in that gap, hold that gap, and that is a very good practice for this point in life. So the last thing which will happen before we die is we'll say, who am I? I don't remember my own name. And now we know that the real moment has come. Right? Now, like I said, this is the pulling of the Vajra Nadi. Death can also be in the Sushumna Nadi, but that is a very, very high quality death and available to very few people. In that, now we have to understand that when an arrow leaves the bow, when the arrow leaves the bow, the speed is the fastest. When the arrow hits the target, the speed is the slowest. Similarly with a bullet from a gun, Can you understand what I'm trying to say? So we have like bhu, bhuva, swaha. So the speed is fastest in swaha, the electronic universe. So the moment the arrow goes out, where is it in? Swaha. So there is a movement from swaha falling into bhuva, right? There's a movement from electronic time into molecular time, right? So at the moment of leaving the body, the arrow which goes out, and the arrow is the soul plus spirit. The soul is the light of the spirit in an astral body, right? The spirit is left at the seventh substage of swaha. So if we take seven substages of swaha, it is left at the seventh substage, and then the soul starts falling into bhuvalok. It is now going to journey in bhuvalok. So what do you call, at the seventh substage of swaha, it leaves there and it falls down. Now this process, it happens in the first hour. So now when we come to that point where somebody is dying and we want to help that person who is dying, right? So we say, don't miss the first hour, because the first hour is the direct light of the Atma, the first hour. And so the person dies, he is there in direct contact with the Atma. There are no sanskars at that time covering the Atma, right? And he can have direct darshan. So we tell that person that who is on the verge of dying that keep your eyes open, even though he does not have physical eyes, he has an inner eye like you see in a dream, and he can see the light and he can absorb the light and he can live that light. And this process happens in 1 hour. We'll go into this 1 hour later. It is divided into 3 stages, right? Now the second kind of death is death through the Sushumna Nadi, and in that there is no pulling of the arrow, and the the person who dies goes from bhu to bhuva to swaha in an orderly manner. He'll move in an orderly manner. And we have the very famous example of Buddha dying. And when Buddha died, Anand, his chief disciple, was giving a commentary of where Buddha is. And so he was giving a commentary that he has now progressed here, he has now progressed here, he has now progressed here, right? And now in the Vajra Nadi, if there is death, once the arrow goes out, it cannot come back in, right? But in Buddha's case, he was going step by step, not directly into swaha. He was going step by step. And it is said that one lady came and she said, my whole life I wanted to ask Buddha a question, but I never got the time. Now I want to ask him the question. And Anand said, it is too late. He has reached the regions of Swahalok and he is not going to come back again. And it is said Buddha heard the lady, he came back, he sat up again, he answered her question, again he turned on his right side and he left, started going back. So this is a conscious death through the Sushumna Nadi, The third kind of death is through the Chitrini Nadi, right? And this is a very rare kind of death where it is done through mantra. It is done through mantra. And the example we have is that of Kabir. When Kabir was dying, his followers were Hindus and Muslims both, and they were fighting with each other that either we should bury the body or we should cremate the body. And when they went into Kabir's hut, there was no body of Kabir. right? He created Prana, that is the higher Omkar, the what do you call, made the body into ash completely. There were two piles of ashes. One the Muslims took, and that became the what you call Kabir Margi, and one the Hindus took, it became the Kabir Panthi. So that is death through the Chitrini Nadi. So three different kinds of death, right? For us, death is through the Vajra Nadi, right? And there is one mudra in yoga which is called as Vajroli mudra. And Vajroli mudra has a physical part and it also has a psychic part where you don't do it just in the physical body. And that is a very good practice for the moment of death because it gives you some control over the Vajranadi, right? And you can, that time where death is coming, you can extend it for some time. You can stretch that time for some time because you have over the years done some control over the Vajranadi and you can hold it for some time. Now,
I have a question.
pardon? Yeah, please go ahead. Yeah.
So where the Vajranadi is that where the kundalini is? There is a kundalini in the base of the back, which is it where the Vajranadi is, and then the kundalini goes up through the Sushumna. I don't know. I just wanted to explain that if you can.
That's a very different subject altogether.
Because that is attached to the spirituality of the person when the kundalini rises, right?
Yeah, I mean,
It's
basically you're okay, right? But
Okay.
there's too many misconceptions in what you say. Anyway, I'll just touch upon it.
Okay,
I'll
thank
just
you.
touch upon it. It's a very deep science, right? And you see, in the beginning there was Shiva. I'm just giving it as a symbolic example. Don't take Shiva as a person or a god or anything. And Shiva wanted to create the universe, right? And he did not create it himself. He created Shakti. Can you understand? He created Shakti and he gave her the, what do you call, work of creating the universe. He was lazy, he just wanted to watch, right? Now, Shakti, now if you take science, I'm just giving you an example, don't take it as a literal thing, just for our understanding. So, science will say that the base of the universe is the electron. Supposing we just say is the electron. How was everything made? It was made through accumulation of electrons. So if 16 electrons got together, oxygen was formed. I don't know, you're understanding what I'm trying to say?
Yeah, that's the molecular.
Yeah, right? So, but the electron in oxygen and the electron in nitrogen is the same electron. Yeah? It's just the pattern which is different, the number which is different. Similarly, Shakti divided herself into 51 molecules, right? The electron in all the molecules was Omkar, right? So these 51, what you call molecules, were the letters of the Sanskrit alphabet, right? And she wrapped herself around the backbone in 51 coils. Those 51 coils became 5 chakras. Can you understand what I'm trying to say? Each of the chakras is created out of the letters of the Sanskrit alphabet, right? And they are vibrating over there. Can you see? After she finished, so the whole of creation was created out of these 51 letters. You understand? So we say that how was the universe created? It was created out of sound, right? And what were the packets of sound out of which it was created? It was these 51 packets. And where is that sound lying? It is lying in the chakras around the backbone. I can't go deep into this today. It's a totally different subject. You understand? Very, very fascinating subject. Very, very fascinating subject. After she had finished, she found that she still had 3 coils remaining, 3.5 coils remaining. Can you understand? And she wrapped those 3.5 coils into a kanda just above the Mooladhara chakra. Right? And those 3.5 coils, when awakened, are called kundalini. Right? This is the basic science, right? But like I said, it's a very, very deep science, and we have to go into what is mantra and how mantra yoga was created, right? How mantra affects the kundalini, right? And there is a 99% of what you see outside is just nonsense, right? So I don't want to go into that, but maybe some other day we can take the chakras and kundalini and how to work with them. So, yeah,
You said there are 3 kinds of death: the conscious, the
involuntary,
involuntary, and the voluntary.
voluntary, and conscious.
And in these 3 deaths, where suicide gets in.
Pardon?
Where does suicide?
When somebody suicide, what happened? What kind of death is that? Then voluntary,
Involuntary.
involuntary?
Involuntary. Right?
Okay.
See, when do I commit suicide? When do I commit suicide?
When I don't like life, I don't know.
Or
when I suffer, you say that.
when I find there is no meaning left in life. When I find there is no meaning left in life. Right? So that not finding any meaning in life is forcing me into death. Right? It is not a voluntary death. If I found meaning in life, can you understand what I'm trying to say? Supposing my girlfriend has run away and I want to commit suicide, right? And I'm on the verge of committing suicide, right? And suddenly I get a telegram, I'm coming back. Will I commit suicide? I won't commit suicide. You get what I'm trying to say, right? So it is an involuntary form of death. Involuntary form of death. Right. Now, yeah, please.
So, what is the connection with this kundalini that you explained and sushumna? Like, is that they're 2 different things? Just so I know. Or is there a connection? That's all.
Very
just
deep connection.
Okay.
There is a very deep connection in the sense that if water wants to go from down to up, there's only one pipeline in the body. Can you get it? To go from down to up, right? And that is the backbone. That is the backbone, right? So, even if the Muslims are doing namaz and they want to send the water up, they don't have a separate pipeline, right? And if the Hindus are doing kundalini yoga, they also don't have a separate pipeline. Pipeline for everyone is the same. Can you get what I'm trying to say? So Sushumna is the pipeline. The pipeline. Yeah. Of course, it's very deep, much deeper, but I don't have so much time. Otherwise, I would really explain in detail how Sushumna is formed. All this is very, very fascinating, but I don't have that kind of time. Yeah,
Thank
please,
you.
sir.
You said that Buddha went through the three. I'm sorry. Yeah. Buddha went through the three stages of Bhu, Bhuva, Swaha, but Buddha took samadhi. So is that the channel to take samadhi?
So what I was trying to say is that when the Vajranadi is released and we leave the body, the speed is what did I say? The speed is the fastest. So we are directly in Swaha. Because Swaha interpenetrates Bhuva and Bhuva interpenetrates Bhu. Like water in a sponge. Can you understand what I'm trying to say? Whilst Buddha did not go that way. He went through the 7 stages of Bhu, 7 stages of Bhuva, then 7 stages of Swaha. Can you're understanding now what I... So he climbed the steps, we flew in the rocket. Right? Okay. Now this body-brain system is what do you call structured in the 5 elements, Panch Tattva, structured in the 5 elements. And these elements at the time of conception, they were loaned to that child to live life, right? Now don't take the elements as elements in chemistry, even though it is similar, but it is not the same, right? You're sitting on the chair, the feeling of support is the earth element. You understand what I'm trying to say, right? But I say come for a movie and you say no, that is also the earth element. Resistance is also the earth element. Am I coming across in this, right? But if you say yes, I am coming, then it is the water element. Okay? I don't know if I am coming across in this. So man's whole psyche is made out of the 5 elements. And the architecture behind the 5 elements is the, what do you call, 9 planets. But I don't want to go into that today. Right? So, if you're feeling happy, right, the happiness is coming from the earth element, but the architecture of happiness, that is the software of happiness, is coming from Jupiter. Am I coming across in this? So, to live life, to experience everything in life, from the physical to the most subtle, we are composed of 5 elements, 5 elements. Now, as death is approaching, these 5 elements are going to, what do you call, take their sanskar away. They are given to us as a loan to live life. They want to take their loan back. Can you understand? Now, they will create certain, what do you call, inner experiences, right? And those experiences will come and go, and again come and go. So when a lady goes into labor and she goes to the doctor that I've got labor pain, the child is going to come, and we have enough time, I hope. I've become very slow in my old age, right? Anyway, the child is about to come, then the doctor says there's still time between the 2 pains, right? So I'm going for a round and coming back. It's still there's time. The point of what you call giving birth has not yet come, the doctor will say. Then as the time between 2 pains, what you call, gets closer, the doctor knows now the time has come. Similarly, these are the symptoms of death, death pain, we can say, right? And they will come and they will go. And as the time between the 2, what do you call, pains becomes closer, we know now the moment of death is coming. The moment of death is coming. Now, somebody will ask me, in an accident, what happens? All this gets compressed. Huh? But I'm just talking about normal death. I'm trying to give you some, what do you call, some inner information of which will help you. Which will help you. So, the first element which will go is the earth element, right? And we may be lying on the bed or something, and for a moment of time we will feel somebody has taken away the bed. There is no feeling of support. It is not that the bed has gone away, but for us the earth element is taking away its, what do you call, sanskar, its pattern from us, right? And momentarily we will feel there is no bed there, and we will say, please support me, right? And we need a little support at that time. Immediately the feeling of support will come, we will feel back on the bed, and we may not even notice that we have missed it for some time. Similarly, the water, and I am giving you only one symptom of each of these earth elements, they'll have different symptoms, right? I'm just giving you one symptom of each of these. So, next is the water element, right? And most females, they know the meaning of water element going, because when they come into menopause, they get what is called as hot flushes, and they've experienced hot flushes, right? And that is the water element suddenly drying up in the body. You feel as if all the juice of the body is drying up, and you'll ask for water. I am thirsty, please give me some water. Because water gives us taste, at that moment we will feel the feeling of taste has gone, left us, and again it will come back immediately. Similarly, in the earth, the feeling of smell will go away. Now, next will be the fire element, and we will be looking at people around us. Suddenly there will be blackness, as if we can't see, because the optic nerves are charged with the Agni Tattva, right? So, suddenly we'll see that I can't see, again it will come back, right? So, there will be a momentary blindness, and we may not be able to see for some time. Suddenly we'll start seeing again. Then, as the wind element goes, we'll lose the sense of touch. We'll feel we are not feeling anything inside, right? And there'll be a deep empty feeling inside, as if there is no feeling inside. And many times, sometimes we have this deep empty feeling inside, right? And if we can hold that, then we'll know what this is about. Now, certain feelings may be magnified at this time, and that is if we have lived a very obstinate life, right? Then maybe the feeling of complaining, the feeling of anger, feeling that everything is not right, right? It may be magnified at this time. Finally, the sky element will go, or Akash Tattva will go, and we will lose the sense of hearing for some time, as if we can't hear. And then again everything will come back, again it will go, and as the moment of death comes, this will be compressed. And like I said, in the final moment we will forget our own name also. Now, here there is something else. There is moment of death, approximate, don't make it a mathematical thing, minus 3 minutes. Minus 3 minutes. And in those last 3 minutes, life will unwind in reverse time. Right? Life will unwind in reverse time. So, supposing you're going to bed at night, and you can go through the day in reverse time. That 5 minutes ago I was watching TV. 1 hour before that I was having dinner. 1 hour before that I came from office, or whatever, you know. So you're moving through the day in reverse, not from morning to evening, from evening to morning. This is called reverse time, moving in reverse time. It is a very good practice to go through the day in reverse time. Similarly, at the moment of death, life will unwind in reverse time. That is, the old man will become a young child again. The old man does not die, the young child dies. Right? And if we have a little bit of consciousness, then in those last 3 minutes, we will see the main events of our life going back in reverse, and if we have practiced, we can change them, right? But like I said, in a 3-minute dream, we can live our whole life. In a 3-minute dream, we can live our whole life. So if we have practiced in the dream at night, every night, right, and we are able to stay awake in dream time, then in those 3 minutes we can change many things which we want to change before everything repeats again, right? So in those 3 minutes it is possible. Here we have the very famous story of the Raja of Saket Bandi, and the Raja was a great disciple of Guru Hargobind Sahib. And Guru Hargobind Sahib was the 6th Guru of the Sikhs, and he is the one who established the city of Amritsar. In those days, Amritsar was just some huts and a small place where the Guru used to live. And the Raja, he had a kind of procedure where he would go every year to the Guru and stay for 1 week with the Guru. So this year, before he was going to the Guru, he was getting a dream that in the dream he was a Chandal, a lower caste, this thing. And in that lower caste he would grow up and be married and everything, and the dream would end. And he was wondering, I'm a king and why am I getting this dream? Right? Then he was supposed to go to the Guru, so then he reached there, and next morning he sent his man for time to meet the Guru. And the Guru says, I don't have time today. So he could not meet the Guru. Next day he sent his man again. Again the Guru sent an answer, I don't have time today. Third day, very early in the morning, the Guru's man came. Now Guru Hargobind Sahib, he loved to go for shikar, hunting. He was very fond of hunting. So he said, the Guru is going on shikar in the forest. Would you like to join him? So the Raja said, yes, I will join the Guru for hunting. So they go in the forest on a hunt, and then suddenly the Guru and Raja are separated, and then the Raja is separated and he is going, he can't find his way, and there's a stream going and the Raja is following the stream, and he sees a hut over there, and from there the people come and they see him, and he says, my father has come back from the dead, and my grandfather has come back from the dead, and my husband has come back from, and they all gather him, and it is a Chandal's hut, and they put him over there. Raja is saying, I am not a Chandal, I am not your husband, I am not your grandfather, right? I am the king of this place, you please let me go. They say, nay, you are you've come back from the dead. After some time the Guru comes, and the Guru tells them, they all fall at the feet of the Guru, and the Guru says, he is not your husband, he is not this, right? You please release him. And the person you cremated 3 days ago was your husband. And then he takes the Raja, and they both are going on horseback. And he asks the Raja that, you understood the meaning of your dream? So the Raja says, no, I never understood. He says, in this life you were destined to be born as a Chandal. But you did some surrender to the Guru, to the higher forces, and you got a birth as a king, as a Raja, right? But your karma of a Chandal, you what do you call, experienced it in a dream. Can you understand? So in a 3-minute dream, you can experience a whole life of karma, be free from a whole life of karma, right? That the Guru was telling him over there. Similarly, when we are dying, at the moment of dying, right, in the last 3 minutes, life will unfold. And if we have practiced yoga nidra properly, practiced working in our dream, then in those 3 minutes we can change many things. We don't want to take this disease forward. There may be some decisions in life which we did not want to make, and we may want to change those decisions, and we can take that forward. So that is in the last 3 minutes before death. Now we come back to the first hour after death, the first hour after that death. And the Tibetans call this the, what do you call, yoga of the clear light. They call it the yoga of the clear light. So we see that 3 things are joined together: the physical body, the astral and the soul, and the, what do you call, the spirit or the Atma. So the arrow goes out. Now, just a few points over here. If somebody is dying, and we know that now the arrow is going to go out, and that arrow is not going to get any petrol in the way. Thank you. Not going to get any petrol in the way. So the force with which the arrow is released at the moment of birth is all the petrol there is. There is no petrol pump on the way that he can get another, what we call, shot of force somewhere. So if we are helping a person who is dying, we don't want that person to lose any force. Can you understand? You lose any force. Because if he wastes the force over here, then he won't be able to use it over there. The arrow will already lose some of its force before going ahead. I don't know if I'm coming across this.
એટલું ગુજરાતીમાં કોને?
હા, ચોક્કસ. હા? હાજી, ચોક્કસ. એટલે એમ કહું છું કે જે તીર છૂટે છે, રાઈટ, તો એ જે શક્તિ તીર છૂટતી વખતે જે છે, રાઈટ, એ જ શક્તિ છે. નવી શક્તિ રસ્તામાં ક્યાંયથી મળતી નથી. હવે જે વ્યક્તિ મરતા હોય એની જો શક્તિ વેડફાઈ જાય તો એ તીરની અંદર એટલી શક્તિ ઓછી જાય. એટલે જે વ્યક્તિ મરણ પથારી ઉપર હોય એને એવી રીતે આપણે મદદ કરવું પડે કે એ તીરની, શું કહેવાય, શક્તિ વેડફાય નહીં. મરતી વખતે જો એને ચિંતા થાય વ્યક્તિઓની કે મારા બાળકનું શું થશે ને આનું, તો ચોક્કસ શક્તિ વેસ્ટ થાય. સો if he starts worrying at the moment of death, then the energy is going to get dissipated. Are you getting this? Right? If he's worried about what will happen to his money, the energy will get dissipated. So definitely if anybody is crying in the room, his energy is going to get dissipated. So first thing we have to get rid of is any people who are crying. Second thing, we have to tell him to be ready to sense the moment of death. Don't allow that pull and this thing to go into unconsciousness. Right? Now here nature is very, what do you call, nature has compassion. So many times it puts the person to sleep and the moment of death goes away in sleep. Can you understand what I'm trying to say? And we don't want that to happen. So we try to keep that person awake. You know, when you go on a long drive, right? And if you know, in the old days, we didn't have tape recorders and all in car, right? So even when the radio first came in the car, I remember my dad was so excited, you know. So when you go on an all-night drive, you need somebody next to you who talks to you, so that you don't go to sleep while driving, right? Similarly, at the moment of death, you want somebody who is talking to you over there, telling you what is happening, so that nature is going to force you to go to sleep. Can you understand? Right? And we don't want to go to sleep. We want to tell nature, I want to experience it. Right? And so you need somebody who is talking in your ear, telling you something, and doesn't allow you to go to sleep. But if you can't help it, if he can't help it, then we allow him to go to sleep, because otherwise he will waste the energy which will go into the arrow. Right?
તો ઊંઘમાં માણસ મરી જાય તે ખરા.
નહીં, ખરાબ આમાં કંઈ નથી. એ શું કહે, પ્રકૃતિની કરુણા છે. કારણ કે આ એટલું ખેંચાણ થાય ના, એટલે ન સહન કરી શકે, એના કરતાં એમને સુવડાવ્યું. એનેસ્થેસિયા.
મંત્રો ચાલે એની સાથે
હાજી,
જતા પહેલા જે તમે એનર્જી, જે પોઝિટિવ એનર્જી આવે, તો મંત્રો એની સાથે જો કાનમાં કંઈ બોલાવવું હોય,
chanting mantra or listening some mantra, Gayatri mantra or Shiva mantra or something, Mahamudra mantra, we can listen.
there's the help to go to other energy go out.
એટલે મંત્ર જે છે ને,
એને હેલ્પ કરે કે ટીમને એનર્જી આપે વધારે શક્તિ.
એ જ કહું છું.
Any positive vibration, what the person is familiar with, that what you give, right?
He cannot gas out because he no energy outside.
નહીં, એ જ કહું છું. આઈ એમ ટ્રાઇંગ ટુ જસ્ટ કે the mantra should not put him to sleep. You understand, right? So he has to be doing the mantra with you. નહીં, તમે નહીં સમજ્યા?
એટલે એનર્જી એટલે પર્સન જોડે હોવું જોઈએ.
આપણું પહેલું લક્ષ્ય શું છે કે ઊંઘ ના આવી જોઈએ. હવે જો હું ઓમ બોલું અને એનાથી જ એને ઊંઘ આવી જાય. Can you understand what I'm trying to say?
So what type of conversation are you having with the person to keep them awake? Are you helping them, remind them of the situation
So
they want to correct in their dreams?
you have to, what you call, increase his level of sensitivity. Are you sensing this? Are you sensing this? Are you sensing this? Can you see the body energy is being pulled? Remain in the sensitivity of that. Don't run away from that sensitivity. There will be a little pain. Don't bother about the pain. Hold the sensitivity of that. સમજાય છે what I'm trying to say?
તો એને ટચ કરવું પડે, જે જતે પહેલા એને કેટલો એનર્જી અને સ્પર્શ થાય.
હું નથી સમજતો તમે.
એટલે મૃત્યુ જે તૈયારી હોય, એટલે બીજો માણસ ફિઝિકલ હોય,
હા,
તો એને સપોર્ટિંગ કરે ખરું મૃત્યુ જતા પહેલા.
વેરી ગુડ, વેરી ગુડ.
એટલે પોઝિટિવ બીજો માણસ ઓમકાર કે એની સાથે બોલતો હોય,
એ ઊંઘી જાય તેમ રીતે, એ શું નોટિસ sleep.
See,
પણ જોડે માણસ જે ફિઝિકલ હોય, જોડે બેઠવીને જોડે તો કંઈક સેન્સીસ જતા પહેલા એને ટચ રાખે.
એવું છે સાહેબ, કે એ ખાટલા ઉપર સૂતો છે.
બરાબર છે.
હવે મારા ઓમકારના નાદથી જો એ સૂઈ જવાનો હોય, મારે એ નથી કરવું. મંત્ર બોલવું બહુ સારું છે, પણ એવા પિચમાં બોલવું પડે કે એ સૂઈ ન જાય. રાઈટ? હવે આઈ જસ્ટ ગિવ.
એને હાથમાં છે કે હું સૂવું કે ના સૂવું.
એના હાથમાં હોય તો ક્યાંથી વાત, તો ઇઝ કોન્શિયસ.
તો એનર્જી સપોર્ટિંગ કેવી રીતે કરે બીજો માણસ એમ? સેન્સીસ
No,
જતા
if,
પહેલા
if he's in control of the situation, he is conscious. Can you understand what I'm saying? But nature wants to put him to sleep. Right? Now, if I want to do Omkar, then I have to do Omkar in a different way. Can you understand? I have to do Omkar in a different way. Then I'll tell him, you do Omkar with me, but I will do it in a very high pitch. which will destroy sleep.
Right.
But if I do it in a low pitch, then he is going to go to sleep. Can you understand what I'm trying to say? If I do Om, then he's going to go to sleep. But if I do then he's going to wake up. In which pitch am I doing the mantra? Can you understand? Mantra is very good. Mantra is very good, but we want to do the mantra with him in such a way that he remains awake.
But what are we, during that time, conversing with the person to remind them that stay awake, the pain is okay, your journey is ahead, but are you helping them, remind them of what they need to correct? What are the steps you're trying to remind them of in the journey of what conversation?
So I'm trying to tell him what he is passing through
Okay,
and how to experience that in a more deeper way.
okay.
For that, I need a knowledge of what he is passing through.
Got it, okay.
Right? Like he's a doctor.
Yeah.
Right? He knows the physical process of what he is passing through. Right? But what is happening little higher than that, there must be at least some basic intellectual knowledge of it. That is why
This is the stuff you're reminding
yeah, this is what I'm trying to tell you. That now in the first hour we want him to see the light. So before he is passing on, we are whispering in his don't please be awake and experience the light. Can you understand what we are trying to say? Now, if we are saying Omkar, we will say in a very high pitch Omkar. We will not, if I do an Omkar, low pitch Omkar, is going to go to sleep only. So you get it. So whatever mantra you do, you have to do in very high pitch mantra. Yeah.
So that hour, first hour, is he able to listen to you or can you communicate with him?
There is a sensitivity going on over here. So
Actually, you can communicate after even dead, after.
No, that's what it is, first hour.
Not first hour, you can do
there is
furthermore.
there is a sensitivity here. So if you are using mantra, that mantra is affecting him. Can you get it? It is affecting him. If he has gone to sleep, then you can do the mantra whichever you want to do. You understand? But as long as he is not gone to sleep, then you use a high pitched mantra. Don't allow him to go to sleep. You use a mantra which breaks the atoms of sleep. Right? I don't know if I'm coming across it. I don't.
Yeah, that's fine.
So you try to awaken all five senses, not just only one, listening, right?
It is the energy of sensitivity, sir.
Only sensitive, nothing else?
The senses are going to remain here. Sensitivity is going to go with you.
Oh, okay.
Sensitivity is the energy which activates all the five senses.
Okay, I got it.
We call it as Indra. Indra is the energy which activates all the five senses.
All five.
Right?
જે 3 મિનિટમાં શું બદલી શકે કે જે નેગેટિવ અને પોઝિટિવ કરવા માટે એને કઈ રીતે બદલી શકે 3 મિનિટની અંદર જે છે
હાજી હાજી
તે જે ખરાબ સંસ્કારમાંથી સારા સંસ્કાર બનાવો તો કહું તો એની બીજી લાઈફ જે સારી રીતે જાય એની ફોર્સ અગર
એટલે 3 મિનિટ છે સાહેબ 3 મિનિટ છે. First of all, have we practiced for those 3 minutes?
તો પછી સંસ્કાર પહેલે સારા કરવો જોઈએ.
Again, I'm trying to tell you કે એ 3 મિનિટ માટે મેં જો અભ્યાસ કર્યો હોય તો હું એ 3 મિનિટમાં કામ કરી શકું. મેં 3 મિનિટમાં અભ્યાસ જ ન કર્યો હોય તો 3 મિનિટ ક્યારે આવ્યા ને ક્યારે ગયા ખબર જ નહીં પડે મને. મારો પોઈન્ટ કર્યો.
It's just like T minus 3 lead top, right? So you want to keep the same speed or maybe higher speed of activation.
એટલે કોન્શિયસનેસની અંદર સ્પીડ સ્લોઝ ડાઉન. રાઈટ? એટલે એ 3 મિનિટ મારી માટે સ્લો મોશનમાં જાય. પણ મેં અભ્યાસ જ નથી કર્યો તો એ તો 3 મિનિટમાં પૂરા ખબર નહીં પડે કે આ આવ્યું છે. રાઈટ? એટલે most important is the first hour after death. So So we are trying to tell him something in his ear, that you look at the light, right? Now, you see, the light is very overpowering, right? So even those who have, driven a car at night and the headlights come, your eyes automatically close with the headlights, right? So we have to tell that person that even though the physical eyes are over here, those eyes, those inner eyes which you have, don't close them, because once you close them, you open them, you won't see the light, right? Now, another thing which we can tell that person is that the Guru is standing next to you. Guru not as a person. If Mr. Tavaria is my Guru, it's not that Mr. Tavaria is standing over there, right? But the Guru as a form of guidance, as a universal form of guidance is there. But the law is that we have to ask for his help. He is not going to help without us asking. So the minute that person says, help me, the Guru will show him, please look at the light in this way, right? Now, the Atma is left at the seventh substage of Swaha, and the soul falls with the astral body into Bhuvalok, into the dream world. And this falling happens in 3 stages. It happens in 3 stages. So he leaves the Atma there, he's looking at the light and he falls and he comes back, right? When he comes back, again the Atma is covered in the Karan Sharir or causal body. So now he is not looking at the Atma directly, he is looking it through a plastic membrane. Can you understand? Through which is called the Karan Sharir, right? The causal body. So the second time he comes back, right, there is no direct experience of the light, but there is light experience as if it is coming through some glass or something. Then again he will fall and again he will come back, and there will be the third experience of light, right? And the third experience of light will be like, the sun has set and a Sandhya is there, the colors of the sunset are there. That will be the third experience of light. So the experience of light will happen in 1 hour in 3 different stages. Preferably in that 1 hour, we don't move the body. We don't move the body, right? So for 1 hour, we don't move the body, just leave it over there and keep on whispering to him to experience the light, to remain in the light, ask for the Guru's help, right? After 1 hour, we can then move the body. That period is over. Many yogis who have achieved a higher state of consciousness, they remain in that light for much longer periods of time. They remain in that light for much longer periods of time. Now, the astral and the soul, they go up and down and they come into what is called Bhuvalok. Bhuvalok. Now, according to the level of consciousness, because there are 7 subdivisions in the Bhuvalok, and it remains in one of those subdivisions, or it moves up and down, and it passes through 55 days. Now, it is a kind of, they don't take this as an exact mathematics, there is a relationship of 1 lifetime. So if 1 lifetime is 70 to 80 years in the cellular body, it is 1 hour in the electronic body of light, and it is 55 days in the molecular body through which it is passing, the dream world, Bhuvalok, right? So he is passing through the dream world, Bhuvalok now. The Tibetans have done a lot of work in this, and they have written something called the Tibetan Book of the Dead. where they've divided the first 49 days into 7 parts, and then again they've divided it into 7 parts, and I don't want to go into all that. And they, what do you call, they guide that soul through those 49 days. They call that as bardo. Bardo, the guiding of the soul through those 49 days. We can take it as we have 6 main weaknesses: lobha, kama, krodha, moha, matsa, mada, and they all belong, they are friends, or they are all expressions of the ego. So number 7, right? So 7 into 7, 49, and these come to meet us in different forms depending upon what kind of dreams we have gone through in a lifetime. It will take forms in our sanskar, right? So if what do you call, in my dream at night I see anger, and anger comes to me in the form of a dog, right? Then there again anger may come in the form of a dog. Can you understand what I'm trying to say? So these 6 weaknesses plus the self-love, the ego, they will be expressed in different forms, and the soul passes through all that, and if it has consciousness, then it can change all that. It can change its sanskars in that thing. Can you understand? Now, after a person has died, it is very important that we help that person in these 55 days. We help that person in these 55 days. And what I'm giving to you today is, you can do all your pujas and whatever you want to do. I'm not stopping you from that. But what I'm giving to you today is a technique of really helping that person. Really helping that person. So the first thing we can do is, that soul feels hungry over there, but there is no food available over there. So we first light a ghee lamp, right? And we put a little food over there, and we, in our minds, in a form of sensitivity, not just pure language, right? Okay, you know, it's from the heart. I've given this to you, right? So, but we can say it in words also, but more it should be in the form of vibration, right? Okay, I have given this food for you. So that person will come, he will smell the food, and his hunger will be, what do you call, appeased. Huh? He'll get trupti of his hunger over there. So by smell, his desire for eating will be fulfilled, and for that food he will come. It doesn't mean that you have to keep a whole thali or anything. Even one small thing will do. Just the smell of it is enough, because he is in the molecular world, and smell is molecular. Smell is molecular. Right? Now, then we sit down and we try to communicate with that person, but communicate in the form of sensitivity. Right? So, I have a picture of you, but I also have a sensitivity of you. Can you see? I have not seen your picture as yet, but I hear somebody coming down the steps and I say, it's this person. Can you understand? So there is a sensitivity of that person. We are so attuned to seeing with the eyes that our use of the other senses is very minimal. Right? But if you go into karate, and in deep karate, they go into a room, they sense where the person is hiding. There's a feeling of that person. There's a sensitivity of that. Is the energy of sensitivity. Okay? So bring the energy of sense, and whoever is gone, because you're so close to that person, right? There's still an exchange of prana between that person and you. He's taking his prana back. So there is an inner movement of prana between that person and you, right? So you sense that person and try to pass on to him that what you are experiencing in that stage is from your own mind, right? It is not coming from anywhere outside. And you can stop anything and pause anything you want, right? So it's like this, that I'm in the dream, right? And I want to meet you. I think about you, you're there, right? But in the cellular universe, I want to meet you, I'll phone you, you'll say, I'm busy for a week, you come after 1 week. Can you understand what I'm trying to say? So in the dream, time and space compress. So the minute he says this should go away, it will go away, right? So whatever he is seeing is from his own, what do you call, imagination. It is coming from his own memory patterns, and he wants to change those memory patterns. He wants to be free of those. So we can pass on a message. You tell that to go away, it will go away. You tell it to change, it will change. And the last thing we tell him is that the Guru is next to you. Please ask for his help. Please ask for his help. Is this clear? And this is how we help the person who has gone. And it is a beautiful way. Now the last thing you can say is that if what I have said has reached you, right? Then maybe you can give me a message. And supposing you put the ghee flame is like this, suddenly it will go like this and again it will go like that. You know it has reached him. Or you may feel that something is crawling up your backbone and you know, or suddenly a gust of wind will come and you will feel that you know that this is. And this receptivity of that person giving the message back to you will be very powerful in the first 15 to 20 days. Then it will slowly fade away. And that is why we usually, the science behind the termu is this. Because there is still a communication with that person, which from his side also. Then from his side there is no communication, right? Unless you have reached a very high state of consciousness in that. That does not mean we stop, we continue. We continue. Around the 45th day, we add something, and we say that now the time has come for you to take rebirth. Now, yesterday we had gone to see a museum, right? So there were some statues, where the face has been effaced. The face has been effaced. So you can't recognize whose statue is this, right? And you can easily make out that the person who has made these statues, he has seen something in the dream and he's made these statues. Okay? So many times in the dream, the figures are kind of, hazy figures. Hazy figures. So similarly, this person who is going through these 55 days, he will now start seeing scenes of couples having sex. But he will not be able to make out the figures of what they are. They will be like hazy figures over there. Like, in the old negatives before the digital fit photography, we used to have those negatives of the photos, and they would be cloudy negatives, and it would take somebody really to know that this negative is this. So it will be a kind of cloudy pictures he will see of couples going through sex. And now nature here says that I wake you up for a moment. Please decide where you want to take birth. He cannot decide unless he has practiced in this life. And he will be pulled into something and he may just automatically take birth. Now here we have to add something over here in the last 10 days. And we have to say you are seeing these pictures. Wherever you are automatically pulled, say no. say no, we don't want to go there. So wherever there is a negative pulling, automatically he must say no. Second thing we tell that person is that where he sees these pictures having sex, if he sees animal kind of sex, again say no over there. Third thing, we tell them that there is a pause button. So if he says stop over there, that picture will stop and he will know more about the people involved in the picture. The fourth thing we can say is that the Guru is next to you, ask him for help and he will tell you where to take birth. Right? And the fifth thing we will say, don't get tempted to take birth, because if I see money somewhere I may get tempted, right? So take birth for growth, not for material possession. So we can say this, and of course I can add something, take birth where you say see three-step rhythmic breathing going on, right?
What did you say last one?
Where people are practicing three-step rhythmic breathing, right? And this we add in the last 10 days. After the 55th day, we don't have to do anything. In Hinduism, there is the concept of tarpad. You know what is tarpad? Where out of, you go to the for the puja, and he creates out of flour, a kind of dummy of that person, right, which we call as pind, right, pind, and we take that pind and put it in the water and we say tarpan, you are on your way, I am on my way, we live together 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, right? Now I am not pulling you back, you go on your journey. From my side, there is no pulling of, we enjoyed each other's company and now you are on your journey. That is called as tarpan. You put him into the water and the water flows away, right? So after 55 days, we can do the tarpan, and even though it is symbolic, it means a lot that we are now telling that person that nothing over here is holding you here. You make your own journey, your own towards maturity where you're going, right? And then we don't keep too many photographs of that person in our home. Maybe one or two, nothing which can affect him wherever he is, right? And the rest of we can put in the trunk or in our album or whatever we want to put. And then we have a celebration. We can call all our friends and all that. And okay, this person is gone and we are now celebrating his further journey. And we can have a celebration, right? Now, at the moment of conception, that is when the male and female meet, a master cell is made in the mother's womb. And this master cell, it goes through what is called geometric progression, that 1 becomes 2, 2 becomes 4, right? So, in those 9 months, what happens to that child? So much is happening in 9 months that in the rest of 70 years, that much does not happen. What happens in the mother's womb? So many changes are happening in the mother's womb. Now, the first, according to yoga, the first split from 1 to 2, according to yoga, is Mooladhara and Swadhisthana, right? And that Mooladhara and Swadhisthana, on that another inner new astral body is built in that child. And that astral body is, ready at the 7th month. Ready at the 7th month. And there is a kind of exchange between the old astral body and the new astral body at the 7th month. That is why we have a special puja at the 7th month, that this exchange should be in a very smooth way. Exchange should be in a very smooth way. Right? Now, at the moment of birth, the Atma which was sitting in the 7th substage of Swa, watching all this, right? It was a witness to all this that is happening. At the moment of birth, it will enter into the, what do you call, child. The child will cry. Why does it cry? Because there is a spark between Mooladhara and Swadhisthana when the Atma enters, right? And the child cries and the Atma comes in. If at that time, for some reason, it cannot come in, then the child will be stillborn, right? Or after passing on all the, what do you call, memory to the new astral, which was formed at the 7th month, the old astral, due to some deep desire or something, refuses to die. It has to disintegrate, right? If it doesn't disintegrate, then the new astral will disintegrate, and again the child will be stillborn over here, right? So this is the process. Now, because she asked about Sushumna, I'll just try to give you a small explanation of Sushumna. Can you just draw it? Because we have some time, right?
એટલી ત્રણ લાઈન ગુજરાતીમાં સમજાઈ દો, ખુલ્લી ત્રણ લાઈન.
કઈ?
આ તમે જે કીધું ને કે એસ્ટ્રો બોડીમાં એ થાય, એટલું ખાલી છેલ્લે ત્રણ ચાર લાઈન ગુજરાતીમાં સમજાય.
એટલે
I think the Atma part when you were saying the entering and then the stillbirth.
Yeah.
She's saying it's
the mother હોમમાં જે હોય ત્યારે એને એન્ટરી થવાની હોય, પહેલાં પાછલા જન્મ કે ડીપ ડિઝાયર હોય એ એને એફેક્ટ કરે.
હા, એટલે એવું છે કે જ્યારે માના ગર્ભમાં પહેલું સેલ બને, હા, એ માસ્ટર સેલ, બરાબર, એ બેમાં સ્પ્લિટ થાય. એકમાંથી બે બને, બેમાંથી ચાર બને, રાઈટ? તો એ એકમાંથી બે બને યોગ પ્રમાણે એ મૂલાધાર અને સ્વાધિષ્ઠાન છે. આ સમજાય છે? સાયન્સ પ્રમાણે હજી સાયન્સ 100% શ્યોર નથી, બટ દે આર ક્વાઇટ શ્યોર કે ઇટ ઇઝ ધ સિમ્પથેટિક એન્ડ ધ પેરાસિમ્પથેટિક નર્વસ સિસ્ટમ. હવે આપણો બાળક 9 મહિનામાં તૈયાર થાય, પણ એની અંદરનું સૂક્ષ્મ શરીર જે છે 7 મહિનામાં તૈયાર થાય, રાઈટ? અને 7મે મહિને જે જૂનું સૂક્ષ્મ શરીર હતું, રાઈટ, એ આને બધું પાસ ઓન કરી દે છે.
એને જીન્સ કહેવાય?
જીન્સ ન કહેવાય, કારણ કે માતા પિતામાંથી જે આવે છે એ જીન્સ છે. યોગ જીન્સમાં નથી માનતું. યોગ જીન્સમાં નથી માનતું. યોગ કહે છે માતા પિતા તો બે દરવાજા છે, એનો ઉપયોગ કરીને જીવ આવ્યો. તો જીવની અંદર જીન્સ નથી, જીવની અંદર સંસ્કાર છે. આ સમજાય છે, રાઈટ?
ડીપ ડિઝાયર એની પાસે છે, તીવ્ર ઈચ્છા એની પાસે છે.
હું આવું જસ્ટ એક સેકન્ડ આવું. હા, રાઈટ. હવે એ જે જૂનું સૂક્ષ્મ શરીર હતું એ ડિસઇન્ટિગ્રેટ થઈ જવું જોઈએ. શું કહેશું આપણે એને? વિલીનીકરણ થઈ જવું જોઈએ, રાઈટ? અને આત્મા જે છે એ જ્યારે રડે છે એ વખતે અંદર પ્રવેશ કરે છે. આત્મા ક્યાં હતું? સ્વહલોકના 7th સબસ્ટેજમાં. ત્યાંથી એ અત્યાર સુધી બધું ખાલી જોતું હતું, વિટનેસ, સાક્ષી તરીકે જોતું હતું. એ તે વખતે પ્રવેશ કરે છે. હવે પ્રવેશ કરી, જૂનું સૂક્ષ્મ શરીર જો ડિસઇન્ટિગ્રેટ ન થયું, રાઈટ, એની અંદર જેમ તમે કહો છો કોઈ ગહેરી એવી વાસના રહી ગયું હોય અને એ ન થયું, તો એની માટે નવું શરીરને ડિસઇન્ટિગ્રેટ, તો એ ચાઇલ્ડ જે છે એ સ્ટીલ બોર્ન ચાઇલ્ડ થશે. આ સમજાય છે, રાઈટ?
આજનો સ્પાર્ક થાય જે આત્મા જે છે
હા,
ત્યારે એ સાતમા મહિને કે
જન્મ વખતે
એટલે નવમા મહિને બહાર કાંઈ થાય તારે.
ચીસ પાડે ત્યારે એ સ્પાર્કના દુખાવના લીધે તો ચીસ પાડે છે.
હા. તો ત્યાં સુધી અંદરનો કોઈ આત્માનો પ્રવેશ નથી.
આવી ગયું.
એટલે પહેલું જે સેલ હતું તે એકના બે બેના ચાર થયા. એ ફર્સ્ટ સેલ એ આત્માનું
ત્યારે કંઈ નહોતું, એ ત્યાં હજી રાહ જોવે છે. પણ જૂનું સૂક્ષ્મ શરીર એટલે જીવ આજુબાજુ ફરતું હોય.
એ શક્તિ એ એમને મદરના હોમમાં શક્તિ પારા કરે કે આત્મા પ્રવેશ થયો નથી.
હજી શું સાહેબ તમે પૂછો છો હું નથી પકડી શકતો.
તમે કહ્યું સૂક્ષ્મ જે શરીરમાં જે સૂક્ષ્મ બોડી જે હોય એ અંદર આત્મા ના હોય ત્યાં સુધી અંદર પ્રોસેસમાં હોય. જ્યારે બહાર નીકળે ત્યારે સ્પાર્ક થાય ત્યારે આત્મા થાય. તો આ જ્યાં સુધી એ 9 મહિનાની અંદર જે પ્રોસેસ થયું તે કયું વસ્તુ બિલ્ડ થાય વિધા આત્મા વગર શું શું
આખું સ્ટ્રક્ચર તૈયાર થઈ ગયું ને.
એટલે જીવનનું આખું જન્મથી મૃત્યુ સુધી structure
મશીન તૈયાર થઈ ગયું. હવે મશીનને ઇલેક્ટ્રિસિટી આપવાની જરૂર છે તો આત્મા અંદર આવશે. મશીનને પછી કોમ્પ્યુટરને ચલાવવા માટે તો ઇલેક્ટ્રિસિટીની જરૂર પડશે કે નહીં?
Before that, it's just architect,
હા,
building.
એ અંદર ઇલેક્ટ્રિસિટી પ્રવેશ કરે ત્યારે એ જીવંત બનશે ને. ઇલેક્ટ્રિસિટી જ પ્રવેશ નહીં કરે ત્યાં સુધી તો એ હજી ખોખું જ છે ને.
કશું જ નહીં.
ખોખાની અંદર બધું ભરેલું હોય કોમ્પ્યુટર ડેટા
એ ગઈકાલે તમે નહોતા એ ડેટાનું હું સમજાવતો હતો, તમે હતા, મેં શ્વાસની સાથે એ ડેટાનું આખું સમજાવ્યું મેં. હા
He was not there.
હા, તમે નહોતા.
YouTube.
હા,
YouTube પર મળશે.
yeah, I want to explain because she asked about Sushumna. I just want to give you some outline of that. But if you want, you please ask. Go ahead. Yeah.
My question is, જે 55 days ની તમે વાત કરી તો
Right.
it's a practical question કે
I'll tell you one thing. If you can do this for even one person, right, you will change in those 55 days.
It will be total change.
You see, when you and I meet, it is not just a meeting. Your prana comes in me, my prana comes in you.
Exchange,
There's an exchange of prana.
transformation.
Now, you're living with a person for 20 years, 30 years. Can you imagine the amount of prana which has been exchanged? Right? Now, that person is suddenly not there. So, all the prana which has been exchanged, he wants to take back. And if you're little sensitive, you will feel it at the navel that he is taking it back. Can you understand? So, in that death of the other person, because that prana is going and that void is being created within you. I'm just giving you as an example. Huh? Yeah, to this thing. On a mini scale, you are also experiencing death. Can you understand? Right? So this process goes on, and sometimes it can go on up to 6 months. Right? And it is not just with between human beings. Supposing I've been looking at a tree outside my window for 50 years or 20 years, there's an exchange of prana between that tree and me also. Can you get it? So now suddenly we are separating. So when you're doing this process at the navel, there is a deep sensitivity for the person you're doing. See, the meaning of the word putra means putri comes in this. I don't want to be male, this thing. But, right, it has two different meanings. Pu means hell. Hell, you understand hell? Narak. Pu namno narak. Can you get it? Tra trayate. The one who takes you beyond that narak. What is the narak? The 49 days of sanskars. Can you get it? Where all your weaknesses are coming out. That is the narak. Putra, don't take it as male, please. Don't take it as male. Putri also has the same, is the one who does it for the father, right? Because he's taking his father out of the narak of those four. Trayate, to transcend. The English word transcend has the same root as trayate. Can you understand? Right? So the putra has a duty in that it is in him to trayate for the parent who is gone. Can you get it? So it could be putri also, it doesn't matter, right? It doesn't mean father only, it means father and mother both, right? And you have a duty to to help them transcend that hell of where their weaknesses are coming out in 49 days. That is the deeper meaning of the word putra. Can you get what I'm trying to say? And also it has one more meaning. Where the form is repeated. Where the form is repeated. That is, there is a repetition of form from father to son and son to father. There is a repetition of form. And form is coming from the planets. Form comes from the planets. Can you see? Now, supposing an architect is designing a house, right? He has a form in his mind. Can you understand what I'm trying to say? You cannot see that form, but in his mind he has that form. That form is made out of some magnetism. I don't know if I'm coming across. Can you understand it? Right? When that form is filled with material, cement, concrete, this thing, it becomes a house. Similarly, before we were born, we were a soul. The soul had a form, just like in the architect's mind there was a form of the house, the soul had a form. When it comes through DNA, it gets material, skin and what do you call the blood and bones and all that. That is the material. We can see the form because of the material, but we can't see the form. Can you understand? Right? But between father and son, there is means parents and children, there is a repetition of form. So the deeper also meaning of the word putra is where forms repeat. Where forms repeat. And if forms are repeating, then by okay, now I'll just try to give an example because we don't have so much time. But say there's a lady, and I'm giving a real example. It's not this thing. And she separated from her husband. And the husband left her and went to Africa. And there were two children. One the husband took away and one remained with her. When the child grew up, he was about 28 or 29, he wanted to meet his father. So he went to Africa to meet the father. Unfortunately, he died in a car accident. Can you get what I'm trying to say? Now, she's asking me, how do I help my son who has gone? Now, here there's a repetition of form. Can you see? So, if today I rise in consciousness, wherever my father died in 1977, so nearly 50 years now, right? But wherever my father is, the form is affected because there is repetition of form. Can you understand what I'm trying? So I said, you don't bother about all that. You make an effort to rise in consciousness. You make the mind peaceful, right? You enter into higher space. Then wherever your son is, he'll be affected because the forms repeat. So that is a deeper meaning of the word putra. A deeper meaning of the word putra. But both the meanings are important, right? So supposing, of course, when my father died, I did not know this science. It is only after my guru I met much later. But what I'm trying to say is that it is your duty as a child, can you get what to transcend that hell of 49 days. That is, transcend the hell of sanskar, transcend the hell of trayate, to move ahead. Huh? The meaning of the word mantra is the same, mantrayate, to transcend the mind, right? But here, the hell, right? The same. Yeah, please.
So in this case, is the Shraddha necessary to do every year? Because if the soul is born after 55 days.
After 55 days, you don't have to do
So the
anything.
annual Shraddha we are doing
I'll tell you how to do the Shraddha.
Okay.
I'll tell you how to do the Shraddha. See, our Shraddha, what we do is more, what do you call, ritualistic.
Right.
Huh?
It's all ritual.
Right. But one of my gurus, before I met this guru, I was with someone else, and he told me the real way of doing it. And he took me with the kheer to the terrace. And all the crows had come. Now all the crows, they will sound in a certain way, caw, caw, right? But one crow you will see, oh. And there you have to give your shraddha to that crow. That is what connects in time and space. Right? So it's very difficult to do the shraddha. To do a perfect shraddha is very difficult. But please do these 55 days. You have really helped that person, whoever. And it does not mean only the son can do, anybody can do, but this I'm just giving the example of the son. Right. Yeah, please.
So all these things is what we science, I believe, okay, and there may be proof of that, but there is no real experience you have it in while you are alive. That's one thing. Second thing is that unfortunately you don't have kids who can help you to pass through 45 days. So we know that there's no one is going to do. Or third thing is that in this country, kids don't even know anything about all these things. So we can't depend on that to help us, right? What we can do as a live person when we know our death is coming, either with a disease or with certainty that age-related death comes, so that we can improve our chances to pass through this stage easily.
So one of the things is, I'll send you one of my meditations on death, right? It's a 10-minute meditation, and you can ask that person to put on that and practice that for 10 minutes every day, right? You have a 6-month period. So if the signs are there, right, and you can consciously do this for your own self. Can you get what I'm trying to say? You don't have to go to a pujari or anything.
Yourself, you can do for yourself and someone else also. At the same time.
So you make the chapati at home, you make a small form and hold it in your hands and say, all my prana, all my sensitivity is in this, right? And I am doing tarpan from now in the water, that after 6 months I'm going to die, and this should help me in that, and we can do it. Right? So these two things you can do, and I'll try and find out that meditation, which I worked upon that to create a meditation to help in death, and I'll send it to you.
This applies to every one of us because
Can you send everybody?
Huh?
Every one of us?
Yeah, I can send. If you have your email or something, then maybe I can. It will take me a few days to get it.
Sure.
Huh? Yeah.
This, if I'm learning this for helping, but my family doesn't know anything about this, I still can help them doing this?
Yes. And I can tell you something. Supposing you don't have children, doesn't mean nobody else can help you. You may have a friend or a friend's son who would like to help you. Right? And one more thing. for people who don't have children, just as a part of life, I would advise, this is just my advice, that at least once in a month or once in a week or once in a 15 days, give a free service to a kindergarten class where you're playing with children. I don't know if I'm coming across. Because that karma of not having children will be, cancelled by playing with children. But not to cancel the karma, for the joy of playing with children. You understand what I'm saying? Then that karma will be cancelled. So supposing in this life I don't have children, then once in 50, whatever time I can take out, I go to a kindergarten or some place or where there are orphan children or something, and I play with them or make them play games or something of that sort. Then just by doing that, that karma of not having a child will get cancelled out that way.
What about like if you're married?
If you're
totally involved with the other person, your wife or husband, and there is no attachment at all. Attachment, I'm talking about worldly attachment or only attachment is spiritual attachment, perhaps. How, so both people, they can do for themselves also and they can help others.
Help those both. Right. Okay, we'll stop here.
રજનભાઈ,
Yeah.
એક જ મિનિટ.
હાજી, હાજી.
રજનીશજીની ચોપડીમાં એવું વાંચ્યું હતું કે એકવાર રજનીશજી ઝાડ પર બેસીને ધ્યાન કરતા હતા, પડી ગયા તેની સાથે એમનો આત્મા બહાર નીકળી ગયો. એમણે જોયું કે મારો આત્મા બહાર નીકળી ગયો, મારું સૂક્ષ્મ શરીર બહાર છે. એમને અંદર આવું હતું, આત્માને અંદર શરીરમાં પાછું પ્રવેશવું હતું, પણ એ પોતાની જાતે પ્રવેશી શકતો નહોતો. એટલામાં એક ત્યાંથી
ચારણ આવી.
હા, ખબર છે એનું મિનિંગ શું?
એ અમુક જે ગામડાના લોકો હોય ને એની અંદરનું એસેન્સ બહુ પાવરફુલ હોય, અંદરનું સત્વ બહુ પાવરફુલ હોય, એ લોકોમાં કપટ ન હોય, એટલે એનો હાથ અડી ગયો એટલે એ પાછા આવી ગયા. હા, એટલે એ મેગ્નેટિક પુલ હોય.
Prashant bhai said was meditation on Smashan. He sent
He's already sent it, Leo. He has already sent. He sent it to you? Okay, so you can share it with every, yeah? Yeah.
This you talk about our Hindu culture. But Jain people, they think totally different. That at the time when it goes away, Atma, there is not a split of a second.
Yeah, but I think they are mistaken there.
But that's what I thought.
Yeah, I think they are mistaken. Right, because
It's a conflict.
I'm not just talking, but I can't talk about anything more.
શંકરાચાર્ય જે એમનું બોડી પડ્યું હતું પણ આત્મા બીજાના શરીરમાં બીજાના આત્મામાં ઘૂસી એનું જ્ઞાન લઈને પાછા શંકરાચાર્ય પોતાના બોડીમાં આવ્યા અને પછી સાક્ષાત કર્યા. હવે આ જે ફોર્મનું જે ફોર્મ જે ખરું એક શરીરમાંથી બીજા શરીરમાં જાય એના વિચારો સંસ્કારો જે હોય લઈ પાછું આવે પછી એ બોડીમાં આવે અને પછી એની સામે સાક્ષાત કરે. એ ફોર્મનું જે આવા જો પદ્ધતિ અને કેવી રીતે થઈ શકે
એ પરકાયા પ્રવેશ છે, રાઈટ? એ આખો વિષય જ થોડો અલગ છે. એ શંકરાચાર્ય અને મંડન મિશ્રાનું શું કહેવાય વાર્તાલાપ ચાલતી હતી અને એમાં એક પ્રશ્ન આવ્યું કે મેરિડ લાઈફનું. એ કે મને એનો અનુભવ નથી, રાઈટ? એટલે એ એવા રાજા એમના શિષ્ય એનું શરીર સાચવી રાખ્યું અને 6 મહિના એ અનુભવ કરીને પાછા આવ્યા. હવે એ પણ પ્રશ્ન આપણને થાય કે શંકરાચાર્ય જેવા વ્યક્તિ હતા, જો પોતાના પાછલા જન્મમાં જઈ શકતા હતા તો એને એ પણ કરવાની જરૂર નથી, રાઈટ? એટલે એ આખી વાર્તાની પાછળ શું બીજું મહત્ત્વ છે એ જોવું પડે આપણે. Thank you. Thank you. Good night.